Welcome to another Reactors Summit. We're going to talk about the live show, Anarchy, New Champions, and Corruption Invades. We're going to talk about all that and more on the summit. Hi guys, and welcome to Reactors Summit. As you can see, I'm not Matt, I'm not Kristen, I'm Malcolm. I'm the host today. They both couldn't be here, but I've got a great panel with me. And first up, I've got Peter. Peter, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, Malcolm. Glad to be back on the summit. It was a kind of interesting week for me as a Five Horsemen fan, going 50 for 50, but Mara Knopic pulling out a win, that's never a bad thing, so I'm doing pretty good.
Precisely, and going to our next panelist who was there to watch it all happen, and can't remember the last time we actually had him on the summit was. We've got Jeremy Adams. Jeremy, how's it going?
It's going great. It's actually my first time on the summit, and I'm really excited to be here, especially on this occasion where we get to talk about a live event that I was at, and to be one of multiple Jeremys that was there. It's exciting times.
And we've also got the other Jeremy, JTH. JTH, how's it going?
Going pretty good. Got to meet a lot of friends out there at the live event, including Smart Jeremy himself. But we'll get into the matches in just a moment. But really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that we're all. The first match we're going to be talking about is the first in the Anarchy tournament, and that's we've got the Founding Fathers, which is John Roker and Dan Mill, up against, wait, I know this, which is Vince Marshall and Stacey Howard. The Founding Fathers had just standard entrance. They didn't really do anything special, but I mean, we didn't expect them to either, because I mean, they're not the big theatrical types. But and then Wait, I Know This came out and did the whole Jurassic Park themed entrance with Corey Jandrew starting off the promo being Jeff Goldblum on the stage, all that. Then the match starts. I don't quite remember the breakdown. I'm actually going for this without any notes, but basically, the Founding Fathers were in the lead after the first round. Wait, I Know This did solidly. I think it was mostly Stacey that got most of the points, though. Winston got 1 point that everyone else missed. But then in round two, Wait, I Know This spun Pix. It's either Disney or Pixar or both. But
Pix. It was just Pixar.
It was just Pixar.
Yeah.
And then Founding Fathers got opponent's choice, and they were handed movie release dates, which they did pretty well in. And then in round three, Wait, I Know This put up a bit of a fight with their round three questions, but ultimately, something went wrong. Founding Fathers won by TKO. And with the win, it's pretty standard, and the interviews was pretty standard. Nothing much happened. I'm going to throw it over to Peter. Peter, what did you think of this match?
I think that this was more of a return to form of the Dan Murrell that we've known. I mean, the last match that he was in wasn't necessarily a bad showing from him. It was just an unfortunate showing, I think. But I think that, he showed that, he still is a very great player in this match. And then Roka also doing fantastic. I think Murrell had 5 points in the first round and Roka had 7, I believe, because I think they had 12 points after the first round. Otherwise, it was Murrell 6 and Roka 7. But yeah, they did well. They really navigated that movie release dates. round really well, and Roka saying that if he hadn't said to go to multiple choice a couple times, Merle would have gotten the 2-pointer on a number of those questions. So I think, that really is showing that Merle does know a lot, and he still is a very big name in this movie trivia Schmoedown space. Stacy and Winston, they did really well. I think Winston is kind of struggling in that first round, then kind of redeeming himself in the second round, even though there were some answers there that I think, as a really big Pixar fan that I am, I think they could have probably gotten those had they been, a little bit more in depth with their knowledge on that. But yeah, I think overall a pretty solid match, and I just was really hyped on this match because I needed Merle to get a victory here, otherwise I would probably cry.
But yeah, I mean, the fact Merle and Roka really needed this victory. I'm going to throw to JDH, who was there. JDH, how was the vibe actually at being at the live event, and what did you think about the match?
I think it went pretty much at the way that a lot of people there expected to. I mean, I gave Stacy and Winston a puncher's chance simply because Stacy, as I've said, is such a unique player of all those top-tier players. She just has strengths that not many other players do, so that always gives her a chance against any team or any player. FYI, I got the Meryl Streep chant started at the event, so
Thank you.
I actually didn't know that. I knew it started behind me somewhere.
So that was kind of fun. That was a great moment. As far as round two, well, first off, I got to say something about round one. This is something that I was very confused about. The final question, which was the white man can't jump question. Mm-hmm. I've seen so many people give The Price is Right as an answer for that question, and I have no idea why. I don't know how you study for The Price is Right.
Yeah.
Other than
Mm-hmm.
I don't get what you're supposed to do when it comes to studying for that. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. In round two, I said this at the event, and I heard a lot of people agree with this, and I've seen a lot of people bring this up since then. I was very surprised that Winston and Stacy did not go Julia Roberts when John spun opponent's choice, simply because her movies are kind of in that romance rom-com area that I think that Dan and John would have struggled in, as we saw Dan struggle in against Guy. So I was kind of surprised that they didn't, but at the same time, that category is not spun very often. So I guess they thought they may potentially get some questions that were kind of softballs in that realm. So they went movie release dates. Dan and John kind of caught a break in the matter that a lot of the questions that were asked were involved around movies that were pretty recent. There were 4 movies that were in the 2000s, one was in the 90s, and one was in the 80s, 87 to be exact. So they got kind of blessed on. There wasn't a whole lot of fluctuation with a lot of the movies. They could have struggled a lot more if they were way more spread out. But other than that. The match pretty much went as expected. It was a TKO victory, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Dan and John move on to play their next match, which I think a lot of us are expecting is probably going to be Kalinowski and Chance. But, it'll be exciting to see who they end up playing and where things go from here.
And as for Daniel for the Price is Right, there's an episode of How I Met Your Mother in which Barney actually does practice for the Price is Right by spouting out prices at things. But going over to the other Jeremy. Jeremy, how did you enjoy the match, and how's it being there?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the match, and it's actually my second live event. I do have the benefit of living here in California, so I was at the one a couple months ago, and wasn't quite the same level of excitement, just that was the first one, and it was my first time meeting, a lot of competitors in person and seeing my friends in the fan leagues in person and everything. That first time was amazing. But this, I actually think these were actually better matches this time, slightly. And I got to meet, new competitors, and I actually got to meet Leonard Maltin before the match, who was there attending. I think they showed him on the actual show, but then he's actually one of the people that got me into loving movies in the first place. Started my movie geekdom because I would read his movie guide back in the 80s and 90s to kind of date myself. So that was just really a thrill just to get to shake his hand. And and then I knew there were going to be some friends from the leagues that were going to be there, and a few of us were sitting together. And there's actually somebody who I'm playing a title match against in the fan league here that I'm sitting next to, and we were kind of like trying to show off to each other, playing along with the questions. I actually have this little monogram notebook. It has my initials on it. Wrote down all my answers in there, and must say I did pretty well over the span of the night. So and the first match, the one thing that I don't think's been mentioned yet is that this was the kickoff of Anarchy. And I think that was kind of one of the exciting things is, you get these supposedly random players together who've never played together, and see, what the chemistry is going to be like, how they're going to play off each other. And I think that was really part of the fun. I think that Stacy and Winston are actually a fun team. They did have a good chemistry. It was one of those things where, you've got the kind of the power player, and then you've got the other person kind of there for backup. And Stacy really did take that role really well. She played well throughout the entire match, got most of the points. Winston, was able to compliment her a couple times with that one Shrek question in round one that only he got. That that was the only one I missed. So that was kind of a fun moment seeing him get that. And then I think he helped
miss that one. How did you miss that one?
Haven't seen Shrek in a while. Sorry about that. I said I didn't. I was just randomly guessing characters, but I was 7 out of 8 in that, but didn't get that one. But yeah, it was fun to see them. But then the big question obviously was going to be Roka and Merle. How are these guys going to play off each other? They've maybe there's been some rust. Maybe they haven't had. Roka has a recent win, but he's also had some losses and stuff. So I was gonna go, and I think we were all exciting, and we were hoping for the best. And I think overall it was really awesome to see these guys play together and play well and get a TKO. I will say that I think they can work on the chemistry a bit because if you watch that the round 2, I think from past matches you can see that Merle is pretty strong on release dates, and for Roka it is a bit of a weakness, which is I think something that Stacy probably knew and might have been why they gave that to them, because they knew it's something that Roka's a bit weak on. And since Merle hasn't played in all very much lately, having been retired, maybe they had kind of forgotten a little bit that is kind of a strength for him. And then as they were playing, I think that Roka even said later on, like in the interview, that that Merle had all the answers and Roka was kind of like, let's go to multiple choice just in case. And I think that was a bit of a chemistry problem because, if your teammate is saying, I know it, and, sometimes you need to trust your teammate and embolden them and be like, if you think you know it, I believe in you. Let's do it and get those extra points. And I think they easily, Merle probably had them all and they could have gone perfect there. But because Roka is the way that he is and gets kind of in his head and, gets very nervous during matches and stuff, I think he kind of was not trusting in Dan enough. And I think that, if these guys are going to go all the way in this tournament, that's something they can work on. But overall, they played great together. They're only going to play better as it goes on. It won't be in that rowdy live atmosphere next time, at least to that degree. So it's really exciting. And it was a really good match. And yeah, it did really well in my little booklet. So that's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the match was definitely fun one to watch, and for the Shrek question, I was the only one on that reaction that got it right. So
yeah,
a lot of people really, it's easy for a lot of people to miss. And also there was a little bit of controversy that came out after the match aired, and that's the V for Vendetta question. I'm going to ask.
Oh yeah, because I remember, the guy sitting next to me. I'll just say it's Paul Oyama. I think he's been on here. Yeah, he was adamant that was incorrect. So it's it just depends on I have, as a question writer in the fan leagues, there's always that issue of if something, has different releases at different times, different countries, it can be iffy sometimes. Do you go off, what's on IMDb, or do you go off of the actual, documentation of when it released and, wide and all that kind of stuff? So I think that's just debatable. I don't know that I would, say conclusively, it was wrong or it was right. It's just one of those gray areas that, can be tough, especially as a writer.
Yeah, I mean, was there sort of any other, like, people out in the audience that were saying that, or was it just one of those that
No, I think that was going through the crowd. I think that, that was definitely something that was, a lot of people in the crowd were kind of like, So, that's always the issue with those kind of, dates.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, as I said, like, what's happened, if the other team felt they needed to challenge it, they would have, but because Chris actually was there as well, so
yeah.
But
one more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention you mentioned the openings earlier. Does everyone know who was in the T-Rex costumes? Because it was
the Rejects.
Yeah, I didn't at first, but then I got to see them as they got a little closer. I just want to be sure everyone knows. It was really fun, and you know that you could kind of see their personalities coming out and the way they were moving and stuff. Like, it was so those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I was definitely going to go there. It's like, it was fun to watch. I mean, I know this entrance has to be up there for entrance of the year.
Yeah.
Whether or not it beats any one of the 100 Bibiani entrances that could be up there. I don't know, but
I love that Mystery Sun Theater, man.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't a lot of like major surprise that happened in this. Like, I think everyone that did submit a bracket, they all had Roker and Mill winning. So I mean, so there really wasn't a lot of surprising there. But yeah, for those that haven't seen our live show that we do on Take 3, we had Winston Marshall on, and we did a bit of an interview of him. We may want to have a clip. So yeah, go throw over to clip if we've got it. If not, Abe will edit this out. But
just like we, pulled some out in that multiple choice, they did the same damn thing, man. So what are you gonna do?
Oh, absolutely. And then we get into round 3, and then you get that American-made question, which, in my opinion, I thought that was kind of tough for a 2-pointer, but I mean, it is the Anarchy Schmoedown tournament where the questions are going to be a little bit tougher, understandably. Was it another instance where it was like just on the tip of your tongue and you were just kind of waiting for your brain to kind of click in?
I was literally playing the movie back in my head. I saw it Christmas with my dad. I was visiting home, and I was playing the movie in my fucking brain, and I was like, okay, this is the conversation I had. I go, all right, so look, he's a pilot that be flying drugs to the States, right? So what did he do before he became a pilot? And then I was like, wait, something with vehicles. And like, so I'm sitting here, like, what's funny is I look back after they said the answer, and I was like, you're a fucking moron. So
anyway, now moving on, we had our first live title match, and throughout the match, like, they both came out just like Inman came out as Captain America, which really strangely suited him so well, because it just looks so alike. And Mara came out with the Cross or Coronado, which I thought was really fun because, like, as she was coming out, there was Dad walking behind us, like, as I remember saying on the reaction, it's like, there's something in that box, so there's going to be something she's going to bring out to call back to something. But yeah, and the match kind of weird thing because they pretty much hit for hit throughout. Like, Inman ended up slightly in the lead on 8, and Mara ended up with 7 points after the first round. Then in the second round, Mara took movie release dates and completely obliterated that category. She only went to multiple choice once, which a lot of people saying that movie release that's as hard coded, but for Innergeekdom, it's actually easy because the gap of movies is so much smaller than they are. And Inman ended up with Star Wars and didn't do that well and after round 2, Mara ended up in the lead. Then after the betting round, Mara gained 2 points and Inman lost 2 points on Middle Earth. And then the speed round, they kind of got 2 points each. They both decided not to go for they both decided not to buzz in for the Harry Potter question in the speed round. And then in round 3, Inman got his turn 3, which threw it back to Mara. Then Mara got her 2 points, which sent it back to Inman. And then Inman missed the Middle Earth question, which on our reaction we had Robert Parker on. Robert knew it instantly.
Of course. We were saying that live. We all think, no, Robert knows this.
And I remember watching the interview with Mara on the rundown, and Mara actually said that Rachel Cushing did not know that herself. So,
wow.
Yeah. And when they go, and she said, like, when Rachel doesn't know a question, then she doesn't know anyone that would know it. But yeah, I'm going to throw it over to Jeremy first. Jeremy, how did you enjoy the match? Adams,
okay, me.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is they were, for the rundown, interviewing people out in front of the theater, and they interviewed me, giving my thoughts before the match, and I got to correctly predict the winners of both matches. So that was exciting that got immortalized, and my good friend Paulo Yama was firmly saying that Jason would win, and I'm like, nah, I think Mara's going to take it. So I always have that over him, if nothing else. So it's no good being there live with your friends.
There's a lot of stuff that happened in this match that didn't make air, if you want to talk about that too.
Yeah, that's true. There was. Yeah, there was a lot of fun little moments and things going on. But yeah, that's always fun when you can just kind of like, say, nah to your friends, especially when it's live. That's why you have friends, so you can be a jerk to them. But in any case, yeah, it was a great match. My kind of story, and even said this when they interviewed me, is that, when I became a Schmoedown fan, I was never a big Innergeekdom guy. Like, it wasn't as something that I was into as much. Like, I never considered myself as much of a geek in terms of watching these movies again and again and knowing all the fine details. But as I become a part of a fan of Schmoedown and a member of the community, I've come to really appreciate that more, and that kind of knowledge, and tried to kind of broaden my horizons and know more stuff. So it actually got to the point where when I came to the live event, I was more excited for the geek match, and I think it really was the better of the two, and I really enjoyed it. It's really one of the best matches, to see live. It was just a great match, and they're great competitors. They know, what that is. They know their stuff when it comes to that, as much as anyone could in any type of trivia. And it was really close, and it was like a toss-up of who was going to take it. And though Mara was kind of, beating him, she was kind of, for the most part, kind of beating him. It was still close enough that you never know how it's going to go when you get to that fifth round. So it was really exciting. Both of them are, you got to love, the heel stuff. Like, Team Action was there live, and they were being jerks, and that's always fun. But to see two people that are not heels, that are kind of faces, that are like respectful to each other and that kind of stuff, and kind of like being nice to the crowd and everything, that was nice too. Like, that was kind of a nice change, and I really liked that. It was just a fun match. It was a nice match. It was great trivia, and I don't know about other people in the community, but I've been like fully turned around in terms of the IG. Like, it's one of my favorite things now. But yeah, I knew Mara was going to take it. I mean, they talk about momentum, and it's like, when people get on a roll, sometimes I just know that roll is going to keep going, and she just really had the momentum. And there's a lot of factors. You could say it was the last question, you could say or this or that, but I just felt like it was her moment. And she's just, since not very long ago she entered this league, she's been just going and going, and I just had that feeling. I just knew. So yeah, it was so well played on her part.
I'm going to throw it over to JDH next. JDH, how did you find this match?
The match was really, really fun, especially live, because as Jeremy pointed out, and as they said in the video, the crowd was really split when it came to who they thought was going to win this match, and it really showed in the crowd, because the crowd was really playing off each other. When Mara got questions right, the crowd, would go crazy. When Jason was getting questions right, they would play back to the people that were cheering for Mara. So it was really fun to be a part of that experience. Well, since Smart Jeremy wasn't going to reveal all the stuff that they didn't air, I'll go ahead and do it. So they showed the one part where Jason broke the wheel the one time. They didn't show the other 3 times that he broke the wheel. Yeah,
so that thing was fun. A peg fell off for Mara too.
Like every single time she would spin the wheel, another peg would break. And it was like people were calling Jason a murderer, and it was just so fun.
Yeah, somebody yelled,
also,
"Leave the wheel alone, Jason."
In the speed round. Yeah, and so in round 4 in the speed round, there was another thing that happened that they didn't air. They cut out the entire part of it. The part where they brought Chris Stolitsky up to be the judge for the buzzers. They had a flub on the first question where Chris thought that there was a different color that registered which person rang in first. So Jason rang in first for the first question. And he said that Mara rang in, and of course she gave a right answer, and they gave her the point. And once they got to like the second question, they realized that it was all messed up, and so they scrapped the first 2 questions and they just reset everything. And they did it over again. So that was really interesting, because obviously everybody's got their own momentum, and then it gets completely stalled, and they basically just have to reset and go over. But for the most part, I think they were able to gather themselves pretty well. As far as the match in particular, I mean, they both were playing really good. It just came down to that wheel round when Jason spun it a billion times and finally got Star Wars, which is a category that he's not the strongest in. And other than that, I mean, he still did decent in it, but I'm sure he would have liked pretty much every other category that came on the wheel, because it definitely... he definitely lost quite a bit of ground tomorrow when that happened, and it ended up being all the difference, because he was still getting questions right. He was still playing great. It just came down to that 5-pointer at the end, which, big surprise, I didn't know, because I don't know a whole lot of Lord of the Rings stuff. But it was great to see Mara win the championship. Pretty much, I think this might be the first time that we've actually had all baby faces are now champions now, which is kind of crazy. I don't think we've ever had that at any point during the entire reign of the Schmoedown. So it's going to be interesting. We're getting to a point coming to the Spectacular where all the good guys are champs. We're going to have a bunch of heels breathing down their neck, and it's going to be really interesting getting to December with all these titles getting defended.
Is Bibbs a face? I get confused on this stuff sometimes.
Bibbs is Bibbs. He has no intrinsic
I'd say he is.
character. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, he's pretty much a face, but
we all know he's a nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
he's embracing the fan base, which makes you about as good a good guy as you can possibly be.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm going to throw it over to Peter now. Peter, what did you think of the match?
I thought that this was a great match. A little disappointed in the result. And then as my second favorite competitor, he's from Kansas. I live in Kansas now. I'm from Kansas. So, I mean, I'm always going to root for him and whatever he does. Hashtag Team Trek. But yeah, I loved this match. One of my first reactions that I did was to Mara's first match, and I was instantly just in love with her play style. Like, she's so good for this league. Like, she is such a part of this league already, and she's not even been in the league for more than 3 months or so. And so, that's just it's amazing to see how quickly she has adapted into the league. On the game specifically, I think this was Mara's best played match. She just played fantastically. Her round 2 was phenomenal, and yes, movie release dates are easier in the Innergeekdom League, but still, they're movie release dates, so I mean, they're still intrinsically a hard category, no matter how few movies there are in a certain genre or whatever. And for Jason's round 2, I did know that droid answer. I did know that it was the commander droids are yellow. So there were a number of people in the crowd that were being like, I knew that too. And I was like, yeah, me too. But yeah, I think the betting round was really where Jason fell off in a way. Because like after round 2 in a championship match, you can still recover from a deficit of a couple points. But after you get into that betting round and you lose a ground in 4 points, that's really hard to come back from, even with a good speed round. And this was kind of a wash of a speed round almost. So yeah, it was just kind of I had a feeling that Mara was going to win after that betting round. And yeah, the fifth round was just really, really fun to watch. Just Jason really battled back. But yeah, that Lord of the Rings question was brutal. Just absolutely brutal. I feel terrible for him, just kind of like how I felt terrible for Kalinowski's, because like nobody knows that, Yeah. And if you do, that is your thing then, that that one question. And yeah, I'm just so glad that we have another great champ in the Innergeekdom League in Mara Knopic, and I think she said in her post-match interview that she believed that she was the first 5-0 champion, and while she's the first singles or single competitor 5-0 team, the Patriots, of course, were 5-0 in their reign, so that was a little fact check on that. But yeah, just overall, just a fantastic match, and I would have loved to be there live, because I'm sure that was just a phenomenal experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think what she meant was that she was the first person to become champ after 5 matches. I think that's after 5 wins. I think that's what she was meaning. Because even Frank said that in his stats, that she's the first champion to be 5-0 at the start of the reign. Right. And she pointed out that Dan, when he got the singles championship, he was 4-0 when he got So yeah, so she's the first one in the Geekdom ones. But yeah, I mean, despite that, I mean, I really love this match. And I once again, I was the only one on the reaction that predicted that Mara was going to win. The others were adamant that Inman was going to keep it.
Split everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Mara just kept on getting better each match. So I mean, this was definitely her strongest match that she's done so far. And I dare say that if she ever gets to go up against Rachel, that's going to be a really interesting match. And with both of them at 100% is going to be dangerous. It could be a whole week-long match. So, but yeah, really love this match. There's the much more that needs to be said. Other than that, Mara really embraced that crowd very quickly. Like, a lot of people go like, she has been to the live event before. She's going to be nervous. She's going to be worried about the lives, but she really embraced it. Whether it was in her entrance, she was high-fiving everyone, hugging everyone, and even in like when she was in the thing, when the crowd member yelled out that they loved Mara, then you had Inman go, "I love Mara," and then Mara just goes, "I love Mara too." It's like that was just one of the good, a nice moments. Like, but yeah, it's great. We've got another champion who happens to be female, which is more proof that, which is why we don't need a female league, because they can stand up against men just as well. So, but yeah, and then in the interview, this group of people just came out and rained on Mara's parade. One of them is our good friend. I don't know why he's turned. Mike has just corrupted him.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Yeah, it was so weird seeing him come down without Wi-Fi issues as well. But
he didn't talk much. If he had talked more, he probably would have broke up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, I think it was more the case. This was Mike's moment on really. But yeah, you Ken come down and do his usual spiel about Mike and Chance, and then Mike came up and said he was talking to Fad, which I wonder if he ever did talk to Fad, that he was going to become the opponent for Mara at Spectacular, which I don't quite agree with, but I'll get into that later in a bit. I'm going to throw it over to Peter. Peter, what do you think of Kalinowski challenging Mara at Spectacular?
Well, first off, when that entrance music or whatever started playing, I was so just intimidated. Like, that was the most intimidating music I have ever heard in my life. Like, wow, I want that to just play whenever I enter a room, so that way people will just instantly be afraid of me, because like that's what I was. I was afraid of whoever would come out of that door or that entranceway, and I was really glad to see Ken there. Glad to see Ken anywhere he is, because Ken is just amazing, especially in that heel character. Just like, so great. Yeah. And yeah, in a normal Schmoedown place, this should not be a match that is happening. Mara instantly being challenged by Kalinowski right off the bat. I would love to see kind of like a triple threat match between like him, Cushing, and Inman. That would be a great triple threat match. I think that would rival Merle, Roca, and Riley in the triple threat sense. But in a story aspect, I think that this is definitely going to be something that could create, kind of rifts in the Schmoedown, people agreeing with this decision and people who do not agree with this decision. So kind of making teams, I guess, and sort of forming around this match, and this would culminate at Spectacular. So you have several months to build this up and hype this up to becoming one of the greatest, rematches in the history of the Schmoedown. So I think that while I don't agree with it, I think that this has huge potentials in the story department, and I'm sure Christian has everything planned out now. So, I mean, I'm just waiting to receive the awesomeness.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going to... JDH, what do you think about this development?
I kind of have the same sentiments about what everybody else thinks. I'm not the biggest fan of Mike just coming in and getting a title shot, because as most people have brought it up, I think Frank Janish brought it up also, it kind of negates the point of that tournament final, because Mike was going to get a title shot anyway, so it's like there was no stakes at the end of that match, so it kind of bums me out about that. I'm trying to remember. There was another match that happened recently too that something happened afterwards that basically killed the stakes of it. The only stupid answers and screen cleans. When that match happened, literally right before the Anarchy tournament drawing, because Scream Queens wins and they become 2-0 and they're undefeated, and it's like, great, and now you're going to get split up and you're not going to play for 6.5 months. So now you go into the predicament of, well, what happens now if, let's say Haley Fouch and Eric Zipper win the tournament, and then a chance that they become the team champions. Where does that put the 2-0 undefeated Scream Queens? Like, now they have nowhere to go until they potentially lose the title. So that was kind of one of the bummers of that team match happening when it did. this is kind of in the same route with that, because that tournament final now pretty much became pointless. It's just a matter of who challenged for the title first, and Mike was going to challenge for the belt anyway. So the other thing that really bums me out is that it really puts Inman in an unfortunate spot, because he fought his ass off for 2 years to win that belt. He wins 4 straight matches, becomes the champ, has a successful title defense, a TKO victory, loses the match to an undefeated challenger, very worthy opponent, and now he's got nothing. He's pretty much done for the rest of the year now, because he hasn't played a singles match all year, so he's not going to be in the singles Ultimate Schmoedown. He's not in the Team Anarchy tournament, and he's not getting a rematch for the Innergeekdom title. So he's pretty much done for the rest of the year, which is unfortunate, because all he did, he's pretty much gotten penalized for being the champion and being succumbed to a storyline. Maybe the only thing that can be redeemed with Inman, and it's something that I thought about not too long ago, is now that he's not the champion anymore, they could potentially do the Inman Kevin Smith match that Inman's been pushing for a long time. They may try to pitch that for Spectacular. Maybe that would be a good special attraction match. But hopefully something with Inman happens, because he's got no direction now after losing the title. So hope they can find something for him. But ultimately, whether I like the circumstances or not, I'm still looking forward to Knopic Kalinowski too.
Yeah, and Jeremy, what did you think about this match?
The development. Yeah, I will say it was very divided in the room, just like we're kind of divided on it now. Like, yeah, it was definitely a what? Huh? Like there was, the crowd was not overly happy when that, and I'm sure you felt that too, JTH, that it was not like, a happy moment for the crowd. It was, a lot of the people were kind of divided on it, not sure, why it was happening and all that kind of thing. I will say that I kind of, I don't judge too much, because we don't really know everything. Like, we don't know exactly how this was decided or what the real plan is in terms of how it's going to play out, in terms of what the story. I feel like we're still going to get to some sort of ultimate reveal in terms of Kalinowski and Thad and all that stuff, and maybe this is playing into that, which I think would be fun. I think that in terms of the match itself, maybe it's something that both players have wanted. I mean, we don't know. We just see what we see. So I was a little bummed by it, because it's like she beat him, and now she's got to defend her belt right away, and it seems a little weird. But on the other hand, I'm withholding judgment somewhat. We'll see. We know it's going to be an awesome match. They're both great players. Would I have liked, somebody else, or maybe them hold off on that a little bit? Yeah, maybe. But, it'll be what it'll be. And I think, I trust them. Like JTH said, sometimes things happen that are a little weird. Like, the Anarchy thing kind of, threw some wrenches and things, but I think it was probably overall something that was kind of needed to kind of shake things up. I think there's a lot of good things that are going to come out of it. New stories, new rivalries, new alliances. So, you take the good with the bad, and, overall I trust in Christian and everyone there to make these decisions. If I can real quick, all of that stuff was kind of in the back of my mind, because just to get personal for a second, like, I was just, like all of us, I was just a fan, about a year and a half ago. And, a bunch of us kind of, connected online, and we started, like a fan league, and then we ended up starting another fan league. And one of the very first people that I connected with and started all this with was a guy named Chance Ellison. And, we've been buddies from the very beginning, and we were just fans, and we started these fan leagues. And it's like, some of you may know that we do Full Metal Trivia is the league that we run. Well, that whole format was devised by Chance Ellison. The questions, have been largely written by me. We've worked, so closely together. We've launched like shows on that channel, and he's, been my good friend doing this all along. But, there always were those discussions as, we started hearing rumors that Christian was seeing stuff, and, the competitors and people and Skalicki and different people were kind of starting to get a little bit aware of what we were doing. There are always ripples that, maybe one of us could get there one day. You know, maybe one of us could actually make it to the Schmoedown and of our little group. And you know, I think we always kind of have a feeling if one of us did, it would probably be Chance. And it just, you know, it happened. And to be there, like he kind of hinted that something was going on and that he was going to be involved in the night. But just to have that moment where, you know, Kalinowski, you know, ground everything to a halt, and one of my best friends, the person I started a league with, the person that I've worked with so much and gotten to know, was up on stage, was just amazing. And I will say, there was a little thing between me and Chance for a long time where I was like, I really think you'd be a great heel. You need to go full heel, Chance. And he's like, nah, you didn't really want to embrace it. And I was always like, you got to embrace it, Chance. I mean, yeah, you could be with the knowledge that you have and the ego and the competitive spirit, like you would be a great heel. I don't know. And then to see him go full heel, flipping people off in the crowd, supporting Mike Kalinowski.
How dare
you? It was awesome. Like it was like so wonderful for me, because I've been telling them all along, and there have been other people I've told that they should go heel, and it's always like, no. It was amazing. It was great. And that was what that moment was about for me. Everything else was just kind of like background. So, but yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm pretty much on the same thought that there should have been a number of contenders match for this. But I mean, this makes sense storyline-wise, and I mean, it's one of those things I think a lot of people are forgetting that it is storyline-wise, so there's still about 2-ish months before Spectacular is probably going to be filmed. So anything can happen. Maybe like Christian wrestles the power away from Fad and forces Kalinowski in the number one contenders match. I don't know. There's a lot of things that can happen. So yeah, but I mean, like my ideal thing would probably be a number one contenders match between Kalinowski and Inman, because Inman being the former champion and Kalinowski being the finalist in that tournament, that should have been the way they should have gone with the winner going on to Spectacular. But I think from what I remember, Christian saying at one point when he was talking about Spectacular, is that he wants it to be 3 title matches for it maybe before the divisions, and then a number of contenders match for maybe Innergeekdom and a few others. So there could be Inman could be involved in the number of contenders match at Spectacular. So there's a lot of possibilities. But yeah, there's wasn't really any notable news that has dropped since. But one thing I'm going to just say is, if you don't want the Schmoedown to die, join the Patreon. It's like the minimum is only $1. If you can afford that. I mean, I would love to be able to afford it. At the moment, I just can't. But I'm doing everything I can to help it in my own way. But yeah, join the Patreon. If you join at $10, you get straight away. $10 and above, you get straight away the Harloff and Ellis special Patreon match, which is this month, and then you'll also get next month's exclusive Patreon is going to be a horror match. Then after that is movie release dates, and then the next one after that is going to be I think he said it's Christmas themed match. I can't quite remember there, but yeah, you've got those 4 exclusive matches for the to the end of the year. So competitors haven't been named for them yet, but got all that to look forward to for the Patreon. And we've got a few great matches coming next week. We've got the first of the the second of the team matches that's coming on Tuesday, and that's I can't remember the team name, so someone may be able to fix that up. Been able to throw it to them, but we've got Janine and Brian Walton versus Alonzo and Matt Ashley, which I yeah.
The Paddington 2 versus the War Machine.
Yeah, that's right. Jeremy, what are your thoughts about this match? And it's Adams.
Oh, okay. I'm just really excited for Atchity and Alonso. Alonso has played in the Schmoedown, but not as much as I had hoped to see him. So to see him back, and I think that he and Atchity are a really great matchup, and that's the main thing I'm looking forward to. But as a member of the fan community, I'm rooting for Janine and their team too, because they are really two of us, and I think it's going to be a really fun match. And I'm leaning one way, but you never know. You think you could be surprised, and in any case, I think it'll be a really good fun match.
JTH, who do you have in this match?
Well, much to Janine's demise, which I actually met quite a few times at the live show. She was a pleasure to get to meet. A lot of fun. So as much as I hate to say it, I actually have Alonso and Atchity winning this. I actually have them going quite a ways in the tournament. It's off the top of my head, I believe I have them going to the finals because I really like their chemistry together. Obviously, they've worked together with reviews for quite a while, almost as long as the Schmoes have. So I think they know each other really well. They know how to play off each other, and they are definitely the ultimate sleeper team that can do some damage in this tournament, especially on that side of the bracket. So I think they'll take this one pretty comfortably. I'm not going to say KO or TKO or anything like that. I think they will win this very comfortably, though. I will say that.
The Jeremys are in agreement.
And Peter, who do you have in this match?
I got Alonso and Atchity. I mean, no surprise there, but I think that they have an opportunity to go really far in this tournament. I mean, Atchity is amazing. He has sometimes carried Grey Drake to greatness, and sometimes, of course, Grey Drake is also awesome in her own ways. But he is the main force behind their trivia know-how. And I haven't seen a lot of Alonso Drawaway stuff, but I know that he is very knowledgeable in the field, and so I'm really looking forward to what he's going to bring to this tournament. And I love Paddington too, so that's just another layer on the cake for that match. So this could be a really great match, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with everyone. I'm going with Alonso and Matt as well. Just because, like, in the one team match, we've already seen Alonso in when he was with what's her face from What the Flick. I don't remember her name now, but
Christy Lemire.
Yeah, that's the one. They did pretty well. Like, that was the only time we see them. I was really hoping we saw them come back, but we didn't. Maybe we'll see them, see the original team come back next season after the Anarchy's done. But this one it's an interesting team match. I like Janine. I've seen her around the MTS page a bit, but the thing is, she's got the unknown of Brian Walton, which I really don't know who that is. I know he's from Nerdist, but that's all I know. Because he can be either a wild card or he can drag Janine down. So it's one of those ones that can go either way. And the other match we have is we've got Snyder and Draco versus the Sebs, which is Mance and Gerber. And for those that don't know, Sebs is the pub, is the bar in La La Land, which I think Max is just a little bit familiar with. I don't know. I think he knows a lot.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Peter, what do you think about this match?
I'm disappointed that Andraco and Snyder are going to take this one because I love Mance. I love everything he does. La La Land, I also love it. So, it's unfortunate that he's probably going to be going down this match, but I think that, they're going to lose to potentially the winner of this tournament. Because I mean, these two guys in Snyder and Draco, they are fantastic in their respective fields of trivia knowledge, and I think they're going to be a great pairing together. So I mean, not expecting like a KO or anything, but I'm not expecting it to come down to the final question. But I would love that. I would love for it to be an intense and exciting match, but I really don't see it happening that much. But yeah, it'll be a good match for sure.
For sure. JTH, what is your thoughts on this match, and who do you got?
Well, Peter might not be expecting KO, but I am. I think this one's gonna. I think this one's gonna get ugly. I just. Right there. I really don't know how the chemistry between Sean and Scott is going to work. Scott has, he's had a couple matches where he's done really good, especially that match with Bateman, and then he pulls, the Hal Rudnick match. He's just kind of been all over the place when it comes to his trivia matches. And I think Mark Andreyko and Jeff Snyder, I think they're just going to be out to prove something fierce. I mean, Mark Andreyko came one letter, Bud from becoming the movie trivia Schmoedown champion. I think he will be extremely motivated to play well. And Jeff Snyder, after a lot of people called him a quitter. They said he completely phoned it in and that he quit against Bibiani. I think he's going to be on a mission to prove a lot of people wrong. I think they are going to be extremely motivated. I think they are sadly going to take it out on Sean Gerber and Scott Mance. So, yeah, I'm going to call it KO here. It would be the only one I think that will happen in round one, but I think it will happen.
And Jeremy, what do you think about this match, and who do you got?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty lopsided victory, unfortunately. As much as I personally love Mance, my movie release date spirit animal, but it's definitely, and Draco's been on fire, and those guys, they are going to be there to prove something. And I think I'm not going to say KO, but if it happened, I wouldn't be that surprised. I was one of those people that was very disillusioned with Snyder, though, and did think he was a quitter, and showed that, he's not, the best when it comes to singles. But obviously with him and JTE, they've had, the run of all runs as a team, and Snyder and Draco together is an even better team up, I think. So, yeah, they definitely can go far. I don't have them winning the championship because I think there are some other great teams in here, and Snyder can really go down sometimes. Like, he could really blow it. So I don't have them winning, but I do think they'll go far. And yeah, this is a no-brainer. But anything can happen. We've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've also got Snyder and Draco. The chemistry is going to be interesting, considering that they're both former Lions Den members that went on different paths. Big force back together is going to be interesting. Because the chemistry may not be there because they're all on opposing sides of factions. Now, but then saying that, who knows? Maybe Snyder's turned over a new leaf after he's separated from the Patriots, and all that. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I mean, it's not that I don't like Mance, I do, but he tends to go all over the place, and it's going to be interesting to see if Sean's got the power to be able to calm Mance down when he starts getting overtly excited about things again. Because as we saw in this year's free-for-all, Sean, he's good. He went at least almost as long as Lon Harris did. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting because he was definitely a good member on Superhero News, and it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, one thing that's going to be interesting to see coming out of Anarchy is which of these teams are going to stay together and which are going to go back to normal. So yeah. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the summit. I'm going to throw it over to plugs. Jeremy Adams, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Jeremy Paul Adams on Facebook, Jeremy Paul Adams on YouTube, and I'm involved with a couple fan leagues that I mentioned. There's Worldwide Movie Games Network. I'm a head question writer for the Worldwide Movie Trivia leagues that they do there, and I also run Full Metal Media, which Full Metal Trivia matches play on the Worldwide Network, and then our own channel, Full Metal Media, we have shows and trivia and different things you can watch there. And I'm also involved with Movie Battleground, which is movie debating. If you want to see some movie debating, I'm recently involved with them as an administrator as well. So.
And JTH, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at WWEJTH1, and you can see my own personal Schmoedown reactions on JTH. I recently just did my own personal Schmoedown live recap and talked about my trip in general and all the trials and tribulations that I had while I was out there. A lot of fun that I did with that. And you can find me in all the fan trivia leagues, Full Metal Trivia, Worldwide Movie Trivia. About to have a match with Alex Warden. About to get my butt kicked. But yeah, that's it.
Tear some paper, JT.
Yeah. And Peter, where can people find you online?
You can find me. You can find me on Twitter at PeteTweets32, on YouTube, Kansas Viking Reactions, or Kansas Viking, my main channel. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and before I go on to my plug, I completely forgot, but I mean, I don't feel a lot of people will be upset about me forgetting about Vinny, but Matt's got this crazy guy that lives in his room who does the fantasy updates. So here are the fantasy updates. Right. Now, anyone to my plugs. You can find me on Take 3 Productions, where I host my own show called Rankum. This coming episode we're doing is Simpsons characters, which Brooklyn's been harping on to me about doing for ages, but
me too.
but that's coming up tomorrow. And also watch the live show where we talked to Winston, and he does talk about why they went with movie release dates over Julia Roberts. So he does answer that question. And also you can find me competing in movie trivia all over the place on Worldwide Movie Trivia Multiplex, in which my team match is up. And also Movie Battleground. There's a lot of places trivia-wise you can find me. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Stardust at Melkor. And for my panel, for Jeremy Adams, for JEH, and for Peter, and for myself, keep going and donate to the Patreon.